for dense sand. LCR to D ratio for dense sand is equal to this one. In case of your dense sand, this critical length till which we are getting this increase in effective stress. This is 20 times the diameter of pile in case of dense sand. So we'll use this concept here. Now this one, L critical, 20 times the diameter of file. So 20 into diameter of file is given 300 mm. So this is 0.3 meter. So 20 into 0.3 will be 6 centimeter. Now sigma bar will be, now this is increase in effective stress till 6 centimeter depth. The pile is reached. Now sigma bar is equal to gamma into 20 into D, right? So this is gamma is 18 and this is 20 times diameter. This is 108, or we can say 20 into 6. This is similar, 108 kilonewton per meter cube. Now QPU, this is ultimate load due to tip. This is equal to QPU small qpu into base area of the pile. Now this capital QPU can be computed like this. 0. Why this is 0? This is CNC. That's why it is 0. Cohesion is not present in the soil. Now Q and Q. Q and Q means gamma into L into NQ. So gamma into L means this one, 108. So 108 into NQ, 137 is given. This 137 is given here. Now 108 into 137 into the base area of the pile. This is pi by 4 into d square. So we'll get this point resistance as 1045.86. And the similar schematic diagram is also shown here. This is our pile that is of length 12 meter, right? Until 6 meter we are having this critical depth, that is 18 kilonewton per meter cube is the unit weight of the soil, right? And we have multiplied 18 by 6. That's why we were getting this 108. And from 6 meter to the remaining 6 meter, this one is your constant effective stress. Now the calculation is done for the skin friction QF. The skin friction is equal to Fs multiplied by the surface area of file. In case of cohesionless soil, this Fs is given by this formula K into sigma average into tan delta. Now this skin friction is also divided into two parts. One is till 6 meter and then after the remaining 6 meter. So that is why it is given Fs1 into A1 plus Fs2 into A2. K is equal to 2. Why we have taken K is equal to 2? Just because this is for the dense sand and concrete pile. So yesterday we were discussing this part, right? This is for the dense sand, value of K is 2 for concrete type of pile. That's why we are taking this 2. Now this one. Now delta is equal to 3 by 4 of 5. This is for the concrete pile. This is also given in that particular tabular chart. So 3 by 4 of 40, right? This angle of internal friction is given in our question, that is 40 degree. So we'll take this delta is equal to 3 by 4 of 40, that is 30 degree. Now the capital QF, total skin friction, can be computed using this formula Fs1 into A1 plus Fs2 into A2, right? So Fs1 will be K is 2, then tan delta, K into tan delta is tan 30, then sigma average will be what? This 108 plus 0 by 2 multiplied by the surface area, right? Till this part you will get an average effective stress. Here it is 0, here it is 108. So 0 plus 108 divided by 2, you will get this average effective stress till 6 meter depth, multiply by pi into d into L. And then this one, from this particular point to this particular point, we are getting same effective stress, that is 108. So this is 108 multiplied by pi into d is the diameter and L is the length for the remaining 6 meters. So you will get total skin friction as 1057.807. Now the ultimate point load can be computed by taking sum of this 1057.807 plus 1045.86, this one and this one, QPU, right? So you will get QUP is equal to 2103. Now, in order to find out the safe load, what you will be doing, divide this ultimate load divided by the factor of safety. So you will get this safe load as 841.452. I hope this numerical problem is clear to each and everyone. If you are having any problem in this particular problem, then you can ask me right now. I hope this problem is clear to all. I'll share this book with you guys. Don't take a snapshot of this. Now moving on to the example problem 2. For a 50 mm side square section concrete pile 15 meter long is driven in a deep deposit of uniform clay. The laboratory and confined compression test on undisturbed sample indicates an average value of Q ultimate unconfined compressive strength is equal to 75 kN per meter. Calculate the ultimate load capacity of pile. Take alpha is equal to 0.6. So in this case, we are having a square type cross-sectional pile that is inserted into a clay soil, and the pile is of length 15 meter, and unconfined compression test sample has been taken, and that is showing as an ultimate the unconfined compressive strength of 75 kilonewton per meter square. Now in this question we have to calculate the ultimate load capacity of pile. Now okay, now in this case also we'll be doing like this. L critical is equal to 20 times diameter, because this is like your stiff clay. We can say stiff clay or dense sand, one and the same thing, right? So in this case also they have done this L critical concept. They have used this L critical concept, like L critical to 20 times diameter. 20 times diameter means 20 into this 50.5. No, this is 20 into diameter is your 50 mm. Okay. So what they have done? Gamma is equal to 18 and gamma water is equal to 10. 20 times D. There is no diameter in this side square section concrete by 15. Okay. Where is deposit of uniform clay? Okay. So gamma is equal to 18 is given, gamma water is given. Now what they have done, they have multiplied 18 multiplied by 6 minus, because water table is in at the top at ground level itself. So this 18 into 6 minus 10 into 6. I'll tell you later why they have done this 20 times diameter. Right? So 18 into 6 minus 10 into 6. This will give you the effective stress at this particular level. That is 48 kilonewton per meter square. And from this particular point, they have taken this as constant. Now the ultimate load capacity for pile driven in clay, the expression for this ultimate load capacity is given by this formula. This is CUB. This is cohesion at the base of pile, multiply by NC, multiply by the base area, plus alpha is your adhesion factor. This is CU average that we have to take for the surface area of pile, and this is multiplied by the surface area. Now this CUB, how you will calculate this CUB? This CUB is equal to the undrained, this is unconfined compressive strength. This is CU. CU is equal to QU by 2. See, this formula we have read in our geotechnical engineering 1 soil mechanics, where we were doing this unconfined compressive strength test for clay soil sample, and this undrained cohesion can be computed by using this formula CU is equal to QU by 2. So here we are having 75. So we'll divide the 75 by 2 in order to get this CU average, right? 37.5, and we will be taking this value here also and here also, same value at the base of pile as well as at the surface area of file. This is the average cohesion that we are taking. So 37.5 multiplied by NC is equal to 9. We have to take for piles. Then AB, since it is a square cross sectional area, 450 mm dia, not dia, 450 mm in size. So we'll take this base area like this, 0.45 into 0.45. Now addition factor 0.8 is given. This one 0.8 is given. So 0.8 multiplied by this 37.5, and the surface area will be 4 times this width multiplied by the length of file, that is 15 meter long. So you will get 30. So you will get Q is equal to 878.34 kilonewton, right? Now we'll look into this concept how they have taken this 6 for 50 mm side square cross section concrete pile. Okay, we'll check that formula, means how they are calculating this for clay soil. They are not mentioning any technology for this, how they are computing this. Well, critical. So we'll work on this later, right? Now moving on to the example problem 3, where we are having this stratified soil deposit like loose sand, soft clay and dense sand. We have to determine the allowable pile load capacity of 40 centimeter dia driven concrete pile as shown in below. Take N2 is equal to 160. Now we are having loose sand, soft clay and dense sand, and the property of loose sand, soft clay and dense sand is given. Loose sand, the pile is driven into the loose sand till 3 meter, then soft clay 6 meter and sand dense 5 meter. The pile is of diameter 0.4 meter. Now what they have done for this loose sand, for soft clay and for this dense sand, they have plotted this effective stress diagram. So how will compute this effective stress at this particular point? If we have to determine the effective stress, so this is 16 into 3, right? Since water table is not present at the ground surface, it is below the loose sand, so this will be 16 into 3 only, that is 48 kilonewton per meter square. So this is your sigma 1 at this particular level. Now the sigma 2 can be computed like that, 48 will come down, and now this is 18 into 6 minus 10 into 6, right? So 18 minus 10 into 6, so this is 96. Now this 96 will also go down, so 96 plus this 20 multiplied by 5 minus 10 multiplied by 5, so this is 20 minus 10 multiplied by 5, so you will be getting 146 kilonewton per meter square. So this is the variation of effective stress with respect to depth of pile, right? Now the critical depth for loose sand, the way we were doing for the dense sand, that critical depth for dense sand was 20 times diameter of pile. But in case of loose sand, we are having this critical length is equal to 15 times diameter. So critical depth will be 15 multiplied by the 0.4 meter. So it is 6 meter, right? So as depth of loose sand is less than 6 meters. So in this case, you can easily see the depth of loose sand is less than 6 meter. So we'll be having this variation till 3 meter depth, and there is no as such constant stress in this case, just because we are having only 3 meter depth of loose sand, not 6 meter or greater than 6 meter. So full depth of loose sand will be effective force. Now check for the dense sand critical depth, that is 20 times. So we are having dense sand also. So in this case 20 times diameter means 20 multiplied by 0.4. So it will be 8 meter. This is 8 now. But the depth of dense sand layer is also less than 8 meter. We can see this depth of dense sand layer. It is 5 meter only, right? So the full depth of dense sand will contribute to the sigma bar. The similar expression is for same is for now we'll come to. So for this particular loose layer or loose sand layer, if you have to compute this average effective stress, so this is 48 plus 0 divided by 2, right? For this it will be 96 plus 48 divided by 2. For this, it will be 146 plus 95 by 2. Likewise, they have computed for each. In this, they have calculated for loose layer. This is for dense layer. They have not computed for the clay layer. This one, soft clay. They have not computed for soft clay. So this Q will be equal to Q1 plus Q3. Now QQ for QPU for the granular soil, we will be having sigma bar. In this case, we will not be having cohesion just because this is loose sand layer. So sigma bar and 5 4 into d square. This is plus this is equation that they are computing. This is K1 into sigma average 1 into tan delta 1 plus into surface area. This is surface area, pi into diameter into length. That is for the loose end, the length is 3 meter. Plus alpha Cu. This is for the clay layer. For clay, we'll be having this expression that alpha Cu into T, because this is till 6 meter depth we are having clay, plus K3 into sigma average tan delta 3 by D into N. Alright, load is 3963.97 kN. Now using this factor of safety, we can easily compute the allowable load. I hope this numerical is clear to everyone. Any student is having any doubt in this particular problem can ask me now only. I'll give you a copy of this PDF also after the end of class, so you can check all the numericals. You just do in your copies, right? If you are having any problem after then also, then you can ask me, huh? So moving on to the example problem 4, we are having a precast concrete pile that is of size 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter and is driven into a clay stratum. The unconfined compressive strength of which is 110 kilonewton per meter square. We have to compute the length of pile required to carry safe working load of 450 kilonewton. We have to assume factor of safety is equal to 2.5 and adhesion factor as 0.6. Now, since the soil is driven into the clay, so we'll be having this point bearing Q ultimate is equal to CUB NC into AB plus sigma bar CU average into AS. Now, the ultimate load can be computed by this 450 multiplied by the factor of safety. So this is your ultimate load, 450 into 2.5. And you are equating it with this undrained cohesion. This is Cu. Compressive strength you are giving 110. So Cu is equal to Qu by 2. So they have taken Cu is equal to Qu by 2. Then Nc is equal to 9. Base area is 0.5, a whole square, just because it is a square in size. Then we are having this part also. This is surface areas 4 into 0.5. This is perimeter multiplied by 10. ये कौन आया अभी? Okay. So how you will be doing this? This is 0.6 multiplied by 110. This is your adhesion factor alpha into Cu into As, right? So you will get length of file is equal to 15.2 meter. Now this, when you are using this length of file that is driven into the clay, that is only be able to take the ultimate load of 450 kilonewton. Now we'll discuss about this group action of piles. So most of the time it is not possible for us to drive a single pile into the ground. So what we people are doing, basically we are taking group action of piles. Means here all the piles will be supported over this pile cap, right? That pile cap is supported over the piles, and by applying a vertical load over the pile cap, these piles are driven vertically into the ground. So piles are always used in group. When single pile is used as a driven pile, there is uncertainty regarding vertical installation of piles. Hence, in case of driven piles, minimum number of piles used are 3, right? So whenever we are saying driven piles, so the minimum number of piles will be 3, right? And most of the time it happen when you are driving single pile inside the ground. There are more chances that the alignment of that particular pile that is driven into the ground is not in a vertical position. Sometime it may be in a distorted. Sometime the pile may get distorted, or at some time it get inclined with the vertical. So we have to use minimum number 3 number of piles in case of driven piles. So whereas in case of bored piles, verticality can be ensured. But in case of bored pile where you are excavating the soil, there you can ensure this verticality. So you can install a single pile also having higher diameter. And single pile can also be used. However, we are always provide group of files. But in general, we are providing group of files. So you can see an example of freestanding pile group. So this is standing pile group where these piles are not completely inside the ground. They are means up to certain length of pile. It is standing above the ground. That's why we are calling these piles as freestanding pile group. Now this is a typical example of pile foundation where pile cap is over these piles and this pile cap is at the base level of ground and the load P is applied over the pile cap. Now, in case of expanding soil atop place and pile cap, so most of the time the question may be asked like where we will be using this free soil, where you are installing pile inside this black cotton soil. Since black cotton soil is showing you sudden will be pile and moved outward, right? So while we are installing pile into a typical arrangement we have to follow. The arrangement is shown in center installer. So in a circular arrangement at the center of a particular block, this fashion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. So likewise, you follow anti-clockwise pattern, or not anti-clockwise. This is a clockwise pattern like this, then like this, right? Now how will compute the ultimate load capacity of pile group? In this case, we'll read this group efficiency term first of all. So group efficiency is basically the ratio of ultimate load capacity of pile group to the multiplication factor of the number of piles, that is individual piles, ultimate load capacity. So N is of pile, ultimate load capacity of pile group, right? And Q is ultimate load of single pile. See, in this case, this is your pile group. This is your pile group. This is your single pile. And this is your stress distribution for single pile. And this is for your pile group. These are point bearing piles, right? These are point bearing piles. This is load that is applied over the top of a single pile, and this is for the group of piles. And you are having this stress bar for single pile, and this is for group of piles where stress bars are merging with each other. Now friction pile. Disturbance of soil during installation of piles and overlap of stress zone of various piles may cause group efficiency to be less than 1, right? So in case of friction pile, when you are driving piles too much close, in that case you will be having your stress zone to be get overlapped, and in that case this efficiency will be less than 1. So you have to remember this point. There will be certain minimum spacing between the piles and pile group in order to have the group efficiency greater than 1. But if you are driving piles too much close to each other, in that case you will be having your group efficiency less than 1. If spacing between the piles and a pile group is increased, efficiency may approach unity. Right? So we have to ensure that this stable may not. Now they have fixed criteria for the main spacing of this code, right? Because they are it is based on the Indian standard codal provision. Like what will be the minimum spacing between pile for point pile, for friction pile, and for that is driven into. So for point bearing, the center to center spacing must be 2.5 times the diameter of pile. For friction pile, it is 3 times the diameter of piles, and for loose sand or field, it times the diameter of pile. Now in case when we are not having a circular piles, we are having non-circular pile, diameter of circumscribed circle will be taken as diameter. So having some uneven shape like this. So what we'll be doing, we'll be taking the corners of a particular circle. So that will be our diameter, and we have to fix minimum spacing. Now the ultimate bearing capacity of pile group. So in case of clay, how we will compute the ultimate bearing capacity of pile group? The group of file, basically the group of file can be failed by in the two possible ways. First is your block failure, means the entire block will get collapsed, or there will be individual pile failure, means that block will fail just because a single pile in that particular block has failed. This is a schematic diagram that is shown in front of you. Find out this entire width of this group of file. What you will be doing, you will be multiplying this 3 times the spacing plus diameter. So B will be equal to 3s plus dg. In case files or group of files are inserted into the clay soil mass, there will be basically the block failure or individual pile failure. So the block failure will generally occur when your spacing, this spacing is less than 2 or 3 times the diameter of file, right? So in that case, you will have your block failure. In case of clays, individual failure generally occurs when spacing is greater than 8 times diameter. If you are less than times diameter, say, right, in one block, someone has put it in your message, I think. They are taking now. Now in block failure, so the perimeter of pile group as a bound soil, and the embedded length of pile will be taken as a 1 unit or block. Now the ultimate load capacity of pile group for block failure. So we'll compute the ultimate load capacity of block failure as well as for the individual failure, right? Now this ultimate load capacity for block failure can be computed using this formula. This is CUB into NC into base area of block plus alpha CU multiplied by perimeter of block into length of file. This formula is similar to what we have read earlier. This is CNC into A. This is for the end bearing, right? This is CUB means cohesion at the base of file, right? This is NC multiplied by the base area of that particular block. Because we are considering block failure, so we have to take the area of base of block, multiply by, not multiply, plus alpha is the addition factor, Cu. Why we are taking this addition factor? Because materials are different, like at the surface we are having concrete and outside the surface we are having soil, so we are using this alpha term. So alpha into Cu multiply by the perimeter of block. This perimeter of block you have to take, this perimeter of block means 4 times B multiply by the length of block. Multiply by the length of block means the pile, individual pile length we will be taking. Now this is CUB, that is undrained strength of clay at the base of pile group. NC is your bearing capacity factor, and in this here also we have to take N. See, in case of pile foundation or D foundation, we have to take this NC value is equal to 9. Just remember, this is not similar to your Terzaghi bearing capacity factor. This is Skempton bearing capacity factor we are using in this particular case. Now alpha is your average addition factor over the length of block. C is your average undrained strength of clay over the length of block. Now
The value of alpha is equal to 1 in case of pile group block, because there is an interaction between soil particle in pile block with the soil particle adjacent to the block, right? So in case of your block failure, what we will be doing, we will be taking this alpha is equal to 1, because we are assuming the piles that are there in group, they are similar to the soil material. Means here we are assuming pile group as a soil group, and adjacent to that soil group we are also having this soil group only. So that's why alpha is equal to 1. Now, value of alpha is less than 1 in case of single pile. But in case of single pile, when we are computing ultimate bearing capacity for single pile, in that case, we will be using alpha is less than 1. Now the QUG for individual pile failure is given as below. Now when you want to calculate this ultimate load pile for the single pile, so what we'll be doing, we'll find out this ultimate load capacity for a single pile, and we'll multiply by the number of piles that are installed in group. This is by due to individual action. Now, when we have to find out this ultimate load capacity, what will be the ultimate load capacity? Then what we have to take? We have to take the minimum value of the group action or the individual action. The minimum value will be the ultimate load capacity for that particular pile group. Now, when we have to compute the safe load capacity, this is the minimum of QUG and NQU. Based on this, we'll divide by factor of safety in order to get this safe load. Now, pile group in sands. It has been observed that group efficiency of driven piles in a loose or medium dense sand is greater than 1. This is because soil around and between the piles get compacted due to vibration caused during the driving operation. So this point is quite obvious that when we are driving a pile into the sandy layer, right? So the soil that is present in between the pile will get compacted, due to which the group efficiency get coming greater than 1, or the group efficiency is enhanced. Wherein dense and above phenomenon is not true. So this I have taught you earlier in my shallow foundation class also, where we are saying that stiff clay is equal to your dense sand, right? So in case of stiff clay or dense sand, this phenomenon is not true, right? For loose to medium sand, this is true. For design purpose, we never take group efficiency greater than 1, hence an efficiency factor of 1 is commonly used in design, right? So whenever we are designing the pile, so in that case, we'll be taking group efficiency equal to 1. We cannot take this lesser than 1 or greater than 1, right?